Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. As you know, it's your girl Craven. Appreciate everybody tuning in this evening. Let me get some music up right quick. As you guys start to come into the building, appreciate everybody joining me. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. As you guys can see, I'm back outside. You guys can probably hear the dog next door. Please let me know if you can hear me too. I'm trying to do a mic check. Let me know if you guys can hear me clearly. Hear the dog in the background, all that. Let me know if you can hear me. Yeah, as everybody comes into the building, as you guys know, it's your girl Craven. Haven't been live solo in a while. Really trying to get back into the groove of things. I try to stay available for my weekly show with Star. But I actually just want to come live today. As you guys know, today was the trade deadline. A lot of things going on. Please let me know anybody that's listening in. Please let me know if you can hear me because I feel like I can't hear myself in my headphones. So please let me know if you can hear me before I actually get too deep into the show. If you guys are coming to the building, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. Like I said, I know it's been a while since I actually been live by myself. I work, as you guys probably know, if you follow me long enough, I work for the post office. My schedule has just been kind of up and down lately. My hours are definitely longer, surprisingly so. Okay, Brian Smith on the Facebook group. Shout out to Brian Smith. What's up, fam? He says I'm loud and clear, so that's great. So I'm just going to go ahead and move forward. So yeah, like I said, my work schedule has just been kind of crazy lately. Sorry about that, y'all. Just trying to get the dog to quiet down. But yeah, like I said, my work schedule has been kind of crazy, so I just really been trying to find the times to try to go live, and where I can, I'm just like I said, I'm getting off work, kind of later than usual, and it just kind of sucks. My schedule is already kind of up in the air before then. So now, of course, getting into the holiday times and things like that. Of course, Halloween just passed. Thanksgiving is coming up really in a few weeks. Coming up here fast, and of course, Christmas will be here before it knows. So I know by the time I get down to that time of the year, that stretch of the year for me is usually kind of hard for me, kind of tight for me. Schedule wise, because my work hours, I'll probably be getting off, later into the evening times then, and then, trying to catch the games, and then like my days off are Wednesday, so I'm usually free then to do my show with Star and things like that. But, outside of that, it can be kind of difficult. But let me see, the one and only Ron the Don Smith. What's good? What's good? I think this is the first time I'm seeing you in here, fam. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, hit the like button as well. Appreciate you jumping on the YouTube side. He says, "What do you think about the trade our Cowboys made?" And I can hear you loud and clear on YouTube. All right, bet. All right, appreciate that. Really do appreciate that. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. As you guys can see on the thumbnail. Surprisingly, at least for me, the Cowboys were active at the trade deadline today. Made a trade for Jonathan Mingo, the wide receiver from the Panthers. They gave up a 2025 fourth round pick. Wildly, and also I believe a seven. They get Jonathan Mingo and a seventh round pick in return for that, which is crazily enough as it seems. Like I said, in my opinion, I was surprised to see him even being active at the trade deadline. I was at as like I was just talking about, I was at work, on the street delivering, and I hear the the ESPN notification go off in my headphones, and I'm like, that usually only happens when I get something about the Cowboys. I have them. They're, of course, the only team I have on alert. And I'm like, what? Of course, it comes from all you see come across the screen. Across the screen is Cowboys trading for. Of course, you have to click on it. But when I see wide receiver, Jonathan Mingo, I'm like, and shout out to him. Coming from the Panthers, I'm sure it has been easy over there. We've seen what's been going over there with them. Trying to decide between Andy Dalton and of course before his accident. But choose between Andy Dalton and Bryce Young and what they want to do over there. They want to bench Bryce, but then they want to bring it back to see if he could continue to win them games and succeed and things like that, which is great. I think it's great for him, great for his confidence. I'm happy that I was happy for him to see him at the end of that game smiling and the team kind of rallying around him, for a good team win against the team. I know it's the Saints that haven't been really doing that well lately, but It was good for them to get a win, especially in a division. These division games are never easy, as you can see from that game, as you can see from our games. I mean, we've only had one, I believe, one division. Yeah, the Giants, one division game so far, and even now was tough. I think for the first time in a few years, at least for the Cowboys, it was a tough game against the Giants because usually, we play them early in the year. We play them, we kind of beat down on them. One of the teams we kind of beat up on. You know what I'm saying? So it was a good close game when we played them, as we've seen, even with the Giants and Washington when they played each other, a few weeks back. It was a close game, albeit it was mostly field goals, but still close. Hey, what's up, Swain? Haven't seen you in a while, hun. Very happy to see you. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate you. He says this content is so dope. We'll wait for you no matter when you go live or post. We appreciate you. Hey, appreciate that so much. And it's not really a new setup, but I had to, I guess, a restream kind of change some things up. So I just had to kind of build everything back up into this channel so I'll be able to bring everything up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure you've seen that too, Swain. The trade they made today for Jonathan Mingo. Didn't expect that. Like I said, didn't expect them to be active, at all. Period. But for them to, like I was saying, for them to go get a wide receiver, which is in my opinion already kind of like a stacked room, you know, and we have mad wide receivers on the practice squad. So I'm just kind of just like, if you wanted to bring like a big body receiver, I liked I believe I think his first name is Malik Harmon. I liked him in the preseason. I think he's a big body receiver, a high pointer of the ball. And believe it or not, we have a Jalen Brooks who's kind of like a stocky receiver himself, strong. Well, as we kind of see on occasion, strong hands, able to high point the ball, the X receiver who we, on occasion, send down the field to catch those big passes we've seen in the preseason. And of course now with Cooper Rush coming in for Dak, Jalen Brooks was one of the guys that Cooper Rush was able to kind of pass down the field to, throw deep down the field. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of that, with Cooper Rush kind of coming in. Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with that swing. Yeah, Jerry is just like for real, like not even as GM, like for right, like in my opinion, Jerry is just whack like all around right now, and it's kind of like the more like he's in the media, like now for me, like kind of like the more I get like annoyed, like I'm just like just not even here like for Jerry like talking anymore. I'm kind of over at this point. Like he wants to like share everything. He wants to be the one to break the news. He wants to be the one to share the news about Trayvon Diggs and if he has a tear. I'm not sure because we heard one thing from Jerry saying he had a tear in his calf, but then Mike McCarthy said he had a good workout. He ended up playing in the game this past Sunday, so not really sure what was going on there. He wants to break the news about Dak, possibly going on IR. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we know he's going to miss several weeks, so he is going to end up going on IR. So so we not only do we have GM Jerry, we have Dr. Jerry, we have Coach Jerry, what I'm saying, who wants to make sure, Zeke Elliott gets his snaps in. We saw a couple weeks ago where even a few weeks ago in the Lions game, Zeke starts to get, some of the run early on in the game. And this past weekend was kind of weird, just kind of speaking on that a little bit. Love seeing Rico kind of get his groove back again. That kind of crazy touchdown that Dak was able to kind of pass to him was really crazy, but let they kind of, kind of getting their groove back together. And like I said, just talking about Zeke, that was kind of weird for him. Number one, to be kind of left back in Dallas, but at the same time, it's just, like where can you really go from here now? I mean, like you have disciplinary actions, disciplinary him being left behind for disciplinary reasons, and it's like not saying he can't come back to the team after that, but it's like he's supposed to come in as your starter, right? And Jerry kind of started. He went and got Zeke. Shout out to my girl Star. I saw her tweet early this week saying or maybe it might have been last week, saying that Mike McCarthy didn't want. He didn't want Zeke. He wanted to go forward with Rico, and of course, here comes Zeke, and not only just Zeke, but we had a room full of guys. We had Royce Freeman, Deuce, who still has yet to see the field. That's one thing I'm wondering. Like it's and we can't really expect to see a lot from him because they're struggling to get Dalvin Cook and Rico, and now before now getting them involved. So now they're kind of trying to learn the rotation of Zeke, getting Dalvin more involved and Rico hopefully taking most of the running back one snaps. We love seeing that. We love seeing him get his rhythm going. I think this past game he had 75 yards. I think his best game so far this season. And I mean, we want to see that. I mean, just me personally being kind of on the Rico train since training camp. I showed that clip on my show a few weeks back about me kind of when I had the interview with Rico. Just a short little clip of me talking to Rico for a second at camp, saying, "Hey man, like." I think he can get that running back one position. And I just, I really just, kind of seeing that he can, he always just shows that he can, he's built for this, right? We saw last year, he didn't get really a lot of opportunities, but, when he did get, he had, had touchdowns on some screens, he had some tough runs. He did have, fumble here and there, he had to fumble this, in the Steelers game, players make mistakes. Not everybody can be perfect, and we do have to, point those mistakes out. But we also have to point out the good that he's done. These, the kind of these ground and pound yards. Let me actually bring up these numbers while I have them. The amount of yards he was actually able to get in this past game. Let me see. Let me see how many carries he was actually able to get. 12 carries for 75 yards, as long, averaging 6 yards a pop, as long as being 15, a 15-yard gain. I mean, that's huge. And I'm saying, and we definitely saw him get it, get his group kind of in the second half of the game as well. Shout out to McCarthy keeping that going. But, of course, we want to see more. I also want to bring up this post I seen yesterday, and this kind of just blew me away, right? Because, just kind of watching, I'm sure everybody was watching the Monday Night Football game last night. Shout out to the Chiefs. Shout out to the Bucks, for real, for real. Shout out to Baker Mayfield, able to kind of stand, toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Great defense. I'm saying, just, awesome game all around. And that's something that makes me excited. Not just being, kind of down and out about my team, in particular this year, but just seeing, games like that is really what football's all about, right? You love seeing, shootouts. They kind of mention, the history of Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield. Me personally, I don't really watch a lot of college football, so just seeing kind of history. They faced each other before. They had a shootout. I think they said that Mahomes had like over 700 yards passing, and Baker was keeping up. I think he had like maybe 300 plus maybe yards passing. I think they had like 8 or 10. I think touchdowns between them in that game back in college. So it was just, it's great to see, once again, the game ended up in the shootout again within, this past Monday. And, the game definitely lived up to the hype, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, Baker kind of being able to keep up with a team like that. Hey, shout out to Sports Junkie. What's up, fam? And, an awesome show that you and Angry Cowboys fan did earlier. And actually, that's really why I hopped on here, because, I said, I'm talking to y'all chat, you know what I'm saying? Why not? I haven't been, like I was saying when I first kind of hopped on here, I haven't been live, by myself in a while, just because of my work schedule kind of, getting kind of tilted lately. But yeah, just seeing all the news happen, everything that went on this weekend, like I said, Rico being left, not Rico, I'm sorry. It's this freaking dog, y'all. Please, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the quiet down, but I don't know what he sees. But yeah, so yeah, with Zeke being left behind, just this whole conundrum going on, and now the Cowboys making, a trade, but for a receiver who may not even make an impact until next season, that just kind of blows me. I'm saying we already kind of expect the Cowboys not to be active, but being active in this, in that manner is just kind of like, like, wow, like, is this, and it kind of just, kind of puts what, everyone, I see, people on my timeline, I see them kind of moving on to the draft and moving on to next year, things like that. So maybe that's what the Cowboys are doing. I'm saying? Yeah, they could be, we know that Brandon Cooks is going to be a free agent next year. I'm pretty sure they're going to be trying to bring him back, him coming off injury and things like that. But, it's them looking ahead, right? So, that kind of puts it out there on Front Street that, hey, like, maybe they think it's giving off the illusion that they're, trying to shore up the room this year. But, it's definitely like I said, in my opinion, we definitely don't need another wide receiver. Like I said, we have other wide receivers on practice squad who I would like to see before bringing on another guy. And it's having guys like Turpin, like a Tolbert, Brooks, even Flournoy. We have yet to see Flournoy really outside of a blocking capacity. I mean, we see him. I think he got a target, or I think he got a couple touches in this past game this weekend. But it's like we really haven't even had a chance to see him really fully develop. So, like, why are we going out? I think that's, in my opinion, why we kind of end up in this situation in the first place, because we keep trying to go out and get receivers to kind of supplement what we I guess haven't seen out of the guys that we have already. Like, we had, of course we have CD, but we're looking for somebody to complement him. So we went and got Turpin. Now, we didn't go get him for wide receiver purposes, initially, but working him slowly into the offense. Then we go get Tolbert. Then Tolbert didn't fully develop, like we had hopes. So then, we go out and get Jalen Brooks. I think, fifth or sixth round pick, I believe it was, or actually it might have been seventh round pick. And then, then we go get Flournoy, who ends up being the sixth round pick. So it's just like, man, like, Now you have and that's outside of the practice, this practice squad guys, the Jalen Moreno Cropper, like I mentioned earlier, Malik Harmon, who we brought back. Just really just a lot of guys who we bring back to kind of to supplement the practice squad. But it's just like, what are we at really doing? We keep constantly looking for guys to step up, Turpin to catch these, down the field passes, and that's kind of throwing me off too. It's just like Turpin was always like that guy who catch the ball, and I'm saying he didn't really have this many drops last season. That's kind of discouraging for me because he was definitely a guy I stood on the table for, about getting more involved in his offense, and it's great when he catches those balls, when he makes those great pass, or when he make those great catches, or have those returns, and just getting involved in offense. I think he had a crossing route, I think last game, that was huge. And he had even caught a seam ball, I believe, against the 49ers. And, that was for a huge play. So we see the benefits of when they do involve Turpin, I'm saying, on offense. But at the same time, when he makes those costly drops, I'm saying, when he has those fumbles, shout out to Cooper Beebe for jumping on that. But when he makes those mistakes, sometimes they can be costly, you know what I mean? And still trying to work in guys like Jalen Brooks, Tober has been getting involved, but just as far as consistency or just making those major plays every game, that has to be a constant for him. That has to be something that and I know it's all about progress. I know it's all about taking those steps. Even McCarthy talked about these guys kind of reaching, saying these guys kind of reaching, certain pivotal moments throughout the season where you have a preseason and you have the actual regular season. Or what kind of steps, are they taking during the season? And we do see Tober taking those steps, but now I'm just looking for the consistency, game to game, making those, and he had another catch, another touchdown pass in his pass game. So that's, that's great. Keep those coming. You know what I'm saying? But it's just about, showing that consistency. MC Swain says Rico was cooking as soon as he got cooking. Mike McCarthy went away from it, and that's as usual. You know what I'm saying? And that's really for whatever reason he keeps going away from whatever works, and not just Rico, but like you just mentioned, Turpin. You say Turpin cannot catch a cold in Alaska right now. That's facts, Swain. But yeah, like when those plays do work, we see that McCarthy doesn't stick with involving Turpin, involving Rico. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's kind of discouraging, not just from the player side, but also from the coaching as well. Like, we just want to see consistency from Mike McCarthy. We want to see a coach who, shows that he has, I don't want to say control of the players, but, you have your players fully focusing on what you're saying to them in practice, in the locker room, on the field. You know what I'm saying? When you're on the sideline, when they're coming back off the field, are you grabbing their attention? Are you letting them know what they're doing wrong? And, and that's another thing, I mentioned too, that, one thing we saw from this game, not just from McCarthy, but from Dak, CD as well. I know we saw him kind of going through his pains on the sideline, but we saw a lot of emotion, in this past game over the weekend. And I think it's just, of course we know as Cowboys fans, we know the kind of emotion that we put into our team. But for me personally, seeing the emotion from McCarthy, seeing, of course we saw the clip of that's going around now, Dak saying that we effing suck, things like that. It's just we can only look at it. For me, I can only look at it from a fan perspective. But I think some of the same kind of pressures that we feel during the season. Not saying the players don't ever feel this kind of pressure, but I just think that kind of like that emotional side is kind of coming through a little bit, and we're just kind of seeing a little more of this vulnerability from these players that we don't really often see a lot. Hey, what's going on, DC and Angry Cowboys fan? Appreciate seeing you guys in the building tonight. But yeah, let me bring up this tweet I wanted to show you guys. Let me share this. Well, actually, yeah, let me bring this up right quick. Oh, okay, here it is. All right, so talking about the Monday Night Football game that we just seen last night, Kareem Hunt, I mean, he went off in the game, period. You know what I'm saying? And that's, and that only needs to be explained, but I favorited this tweet because I wanted to, and I actually retweeted it last night. It talks about the touches that he got, the amount of yardage he got. And this just in the second half. 21 touches, 100 total yards, one touchdown, seven first downs. And this is in the part of the tweet that I put out. So that's after they got Samaj P. Ryan involved in the game as well. You know what I'm saying? And they were, Mahomes also, able to kind of distribute the ball as well. He had some, I didn't watch the whole game completely, but he did have some struggles. I believe in the pocket. I think they said he kind of had something with going on with his ankle or something like that, or possibly got rolled or something like that. But he was able to kind of come back from it. But and that's just one thing that kind of stood out for me from the game is that just the Chiefs just consistency with running the ball, and Kareem Hunt. I mean, he was with them before, kind of came back like shot at the room, like he says, like pretty much came back like he never left. You know what I'm saying? Because his impact on the field is huge. Like I just love seeing, and not saying that Rico could be that for us, but it's just like he has so much fight. You know what I'm saying, that he gives on the field, and just the way he's able to kind of break down the defense. Hey, what's up? My dog's out here, y'all. But just the way he's able to kind of break down the defense. When they do decide to bring in a Samadi P. Ron, and they were talking about last night. We know that Pacheco is going to be coming back in a few weeks, so that's going to be crazy when Pacheco comes back and when they have all these weapons. They went and got DeAndre Hopkins to kind of help out with getting Travis Kelsey more involved. So it's just right now the Chiefs are just kind of like a cheat code. Like it's just like that's one thing I really admire about about that team in particular. Is just that they don't really show that they show that they don't give up. You know what I'm saying? They constantly going after pieces and players that they want. I even just seen a tweet earlier saying that they're still going to be trying to go after a cornerback because they missed out on Marshawn Lattimore. So it's just showing just how much grit and just how much determination that they have to still go after another trophy. You know what I'm saying? After two, winning two trophies and now going after a three-peat, telling their fans that they're not done. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just showing, not just, pretty much from the top down. Like I'm not saying we're the complete opposite of the Chiefs, but when you hear your leader, you know what I'm saying? And I don't feel any way about, Dak saying we effing suck. I mean, we do right now, right? I mean, Cowboys Nation is saying it, so I'm not really sure, why everyone is surprised about Dak. And maybe I can understand people being surprised about it, but I just think in that moment he's off the field. He's kind of bummed about not being able to help the team. Come back from being down 2 scores. So it's just like I think he just kind of just took it in the moment. Like, hey man, we just suck right now. Oh, what's going on? Watching Barry in the building. What's up, man? Happy to see you. Really appreciate you coming through. Really appreciate the support. For real, for real. Nisi in the building. Like I said, angry Cowboys fan. Really appreciate everybody coming through. Yeah, really appreciate you coming through, Boston Barney. I really, really love your content. Love that you hopped on with the all Dallas Sports Network. I just love the work that you're doing over there. I love the breakdowns that you do with Brian Broaders. I just really love the content that you guys, like Angry Cowboys fans, is like the Cowboys content creators just really do a lot. You know what I'm saying? Just for the entire community, and I just love the recognition that you get, Skywalker Steel gets, and just every all the work that you guys put in, really to get to the level that you're at, and still be able to bring great content, still be down to earth, still bring your jokes, things like that. Just really love it. I really appreciate you coming through. Yeah, Angry Cowboys fans just soaking up this dope content. Appreciate everything you do. Yeah, just like Angry Cowboys fans said. But let me go ahead. I favorited some more tweets. Let me see. Yeah, and that's another thing. I'm actually going to be doing a video. Maybe not a video, probably a live either later on this week, maybe this weekend. It really just depends on, like I said, my timing, my work schedule. But I really want to do, because it wasn't necessarily about Luke Schoonmaker, but I did see this tweet yesterday. Shout out to Brandon Laurie. I saw a lot of people, I saw Jay Tuck tweet about it as well. And saw a lot of Cowboys content creators talking about this, in particular about Luke Schoonmaker having 3 snaps on offense over the last 2 weeks. 2 in San Fran and 1 in Atlanta. And that's something that me and Star kind of talked about on our show as well. In the San Fran game last season, you pretty much dialed up, like, at least in the first half. You know what I'm saying? You dialed up some pretty big plays, some pretty big catches that, like we said, that we thought maybe should have gone, for a Ferguson. You had them schemed up for a Schoonmaker. So, I'm just kind of, and for me, as far as this year, Luke Schoonmaker and Hunter Lipke are guys that I thought that McCarthy would have got involved, right away. You know what I'm saying? There's some guys that he really loved, some positions. He loves the tight end position. What I'm saying? Hunter Lipke is being cross-trained. I mean, he had the cross-training before, but now, McCarthy's actively cross-training him as a tight end as well. So it's just like, where are these guys at? I'm saying, even if you're not getting the rest of the wide receivers involved, like, why aren't we seeing the tight ends? And like I said, just for me in general, just me do. I did a pre, I guess I say a pre, season, not preseason, but like before the season started, I did a video on Cowboys potentially having a sneaky tight end room, and that's one of the best videos I've done. Had the highest amount of likes I've had for any other live I've done. So I was really excited about the tight end room and just seeing the potential that we had, and it's just, wow, like we just really, haven't really seen much. Even Jake Ferguson, we could even say that Jake Ferguson, we really haven't scratched the surface what we could have had this season for him. And I'm really, National Tight Ends Day kind of just really put a spotlight on it. But even, when we kind of saw that before that, I'm saying that we just really haven't been scheming up for Jake Ferguson. I'm just really, afraid that, not afraid, because I think, him being a draft pick, I think they'll, kind of go out their way, hopefully, to keep him. But it's just, I don't want to lose Jake Ferguson to any other organization. I think he's a Cowboy at heart, and I really love how he puts his all on the field. He really plays tough for this team, and I really hope that, Mike McCarthy really just, it's one thing for some of these depth players to not really get, just really scratch the surface, and really, it's a tragedy for any of these players to not. And me and Star kind of spoke about in our show last week about us not, using these players to their full potential, but. For me, like, I love the tight end position, and just seeing how these other teams use tight ends, like even Njoku, he was hurt, early in the season, and Njoku's one of my favorite tight ends, and he's come back, granted he has a new, they have Winston over there now, he's distributing the ball like crazy, what I'm saying, but, Njoku has come back, even like I talked about last night, Cade Otton, he stepped up, with the absence of Mike Evans and Godwin, and he's really just, man, like Cade Otton just really steps up. And, he has been, he steps up, when he needs to. But, those two top receivers over there have always, of course, led the show over there. So, he's always been that supplemental piece. But to see him step up, I just love seeing the tight end position being utilized. And even over there, when we played the Ravens, they have Mark Andrews, but Isaiah Likely, it's, making his mark as well. I just love seeing, Sam Laporte on the line. I'm saying you could just look at these, Brock Bowers on the Raiders. He had the touchdown this past weekend. Just even in those dark spots when they are losing, you still see these teams get their tight ends involved. So I'm just really confused as to why we haven't seen Jake Ferguson get a touchdown yet this season. I think he still has he has at least under 500 yards. I don't even know if he's reached 300 yards this season, but I just hate to see that, of course we know he's being more utilized at the line, right? We know our guys aren't, our O-line isn't really playing the best right now. So I know they're kind of, having Jake kind of supplement, send help over there to Terrence Steele, and, when they need, having to send help over there to Guyton. And I think, not saying he's being worn down, but I mean, just me personally, I saw in the 49ers game, kind of late in the game, he had to take on, having to take on Bosa, but then possibly having to go out for, a pass, screen pass or a pass in the soft zone. It's just like, bro, by the time he does all that, like he's winded. He's like trying to catch his breath. And then then you expect him to catch the ball and then try to break through tackles. Like that's one thing we kind of see from Jake, his yak ability. But it's like when you're spending 50%, at least 50% of your time at the line going up against these defensive edges, that he's typically, not saying he's not supposed to be going up against these guys, but he's typically going up against linebackers, right? Possibly even safeties in coverage, but he's not supposed to be fighting off a D end, 50% of the time in the game. So I mean, it's just. I just really just don't want to see his potential being wasted, so helping out our O-line, helping out our O-line. And even Brevin Spanford, huge target, but, he's not being utilized, unfortunately for John Stevens. I'm hoping we somehow, some way, maybe keep him around to try to develop him. I'm so disappointed we couldn't get a chance to see him this season. It's just, man, I'm really disappointed about that. And I hope he heals well and is able to come back, from having that really bad, I think he tore the same ACL he had torn last season. So it's just like, man, you really hate to see that, what I'm saying? So I just really hope that, Oh, and Luke Schoonmaker, like I was talking about earlier, Luke Schoonmaker. You know, I want to see more utilization from him because it's like first of all, he's a second round pick, and you know, what I'm saying that was. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I was hearing around the time that was McCarthy's pick. So it's like, what in the world? You know, like, why aren't you your guy, quote unquote? You know what I mean? And it's just like I really just saw some really good potential in this tight end room. That it's just like, man, it's like we aren't getting that. You know what I'm saying? Our tight end room was probably, went from the potential of being one of the best in the league to, or as far as tight end room, being one of the best in the league to like the running backs, being the least productive. So I don't want to say the worst because we still have the guys to, still have some production, but it's just as far as numbers wise, production wise, yeah, it's just like we really haven't seen much from this room, and I'm highly disappointed in that because I really really wanted to see a lot out of this room, and even if we couldn't get some of these wide receivers to really step up in those big moments, I really thought that some of these big body guys can make a big difference in some of these games, especially with some of the defenses that we faced in these first few weeks of the season. You know what I mean? And I ain't gonna really try to rush through this live, y'all, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how long my light's gonna last, and it's getting dark out here. That's another thing. This daylight savings time, it's election day. You know what I'm saying? It was trade deadline today as well. So it's just so much going on like lately. I'm just trying to, just get, accustomed to everything. I do like the extra hour of sleep though. Definitely hits like, it's definitely hitting. So I definitely do appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, all right. I'm with that, Bach. I really appreciate that, man. Or maybe actually, you might have been talking about angry Cowboys, man. Let me see. Nisha said, I wish our GM can be as in depth as our content creators. Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy when you have, and not just content creators, but when you have fans, knowledgeable fans out here. You know what I'm saying? Some media, you know what I'm saying, offering ideas of, what can help our team, you know what I'm saying, what moves, you know what I'm saying, even if you don't necessarily make moves for this year, but you know what I'm saying, because we do have guys coming back, even now some of the other news and notes, from earlier this week, Micah Parsons, Deron Bland, possibly having I know for sure that Micah and Zim said that both Mikes, Mike Zimmer and Mike McCarthy said that Micah will be returning to practice this week, having the potential to be able to play hopefully this weekend, fingers crossed, as we know. Oh, okay, boss, I'm talking to both of y'all. Okay. Okay, appreciate you. All right, I appreciate that. Yeah, all right, we're gonna get up. All right, so that's huge. That's huge news. Like Mike, especially with the division game I believe our second division game coming up this weekend. At home. Thank goodness 2 home games in a row for these guys to be able to rest up. From going pretty much coast to coast. For these past away games, and and of course, that's also something I want to. It's kind of ahead of time, but I'll actually be going out to that Washington game. Because I'm right around the corner from from Commander Stadium. So it's about 45 minute hour drive or something like that. So yeah, and I bought the tickets a while ago, but now I'm like, damn, like not saying. I mean, well. 3-5, that's kind of unless we have like a miracle, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if we can really turn the season around, but I really want it to mean something. But I mean, hey, it might mean something, you know what I'm saying? I seen that tweet, or I seen that clip of when Washington beat whoever they played this past weekend. Who they play? I'm trying to remember who they played this past weekend, but whoever they played and they won, now they're 7-2. And now, like they showed some fans chanting that, we want Dallas, we want Dallas. I'm just like y'all are 7-2, and Cowboys are pretty much out of it, and y'all still talking about something, we want Dallas. So I think that game is still going to mean. Not saying it's going to mean something, but still a division game, still a division rival. Really love being, just. I love the environment being at away games. I definitely prefer, like I said before, I'm definitely just going to be trying to go to away games. Home game against the Lions, of course, probably because of the L, kind of sucked. But I just like the environment of the away games because people are a lot more hype. Just the environment, not necessarily hostile, but it's just a little. It's like I said, people are a lot more hype. The fans kind of, at least as far as the Cowboys fans kind of band together a little bit more. You kind of get a little bit riled up. You kind of get a little wild in the stands and stuff like that. And then you kind of, drawing back and forth with the other fan bases too. So it's just love the atmosphere. You know what I mean? So I'm still excited. I'm going to be actually going to be going up there. One of my friends from work, going to be tailgating up there, and hopefully I still need to. I keep forgetting. I need to hit up Mark Holmes and JC Cowboys Network. You know what I'm saying? And see if they're going to be going to the games. See maybe if I can see maybe we can, do a content creator link up or something like that. But I'm definitely going to be in the building, so I'm definitely excited for that Washington game. Shout out to them. It looks like it just may be like everyone's been saying, it just may be their year. You know what I'm saying? They're making some big plays over there. Their defense is coming together. They're moving the ball. You know what I'm saying? Brian Robinson Jr. didn't play this weekend, but they were still able to win. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to them, being able to step up and have a good record this year. No, we'll see. But yeah, like I said, not sure how long this light's gonna last. So just trying to get some more thoughts out before, because it's already dark out. And actually, like I said, I love being outside doing these shows, and I kind of want to catch a nice night. You know what I'm saying? While it's a nice day before this weather, starts to get too bad. But just trying to see any other notes. Oh, this is actually another note. Shout out to John Machota. Let me share this right quick with you guys, because he actually tweeted out something that Jerry said, and like I said, I don't really listen to Jerry that much anymore, but I did. Let me see. Did want to pull this up for you guys. This is Cowboys owner Jerry Jones on 105 to the Fan, of course, said, quote, about when he was asked about Trey Lance, said, "Let's not dismiss the possibility of doing anything." Excuse me, I'm sorry. The going with, quote unquote, has a past tense aspect to it that I wouldn't recognize. It's not impossible to incorporate some of the skills that we might get from both quarterbacks. On Lance, there are things we can do with him that I think can add punch to this offense. And end quote. And I love hearing that. I mean, I know, it could be all talk. It could just be Jerry trying to, say something to possibly spark Cowboys Nation. But I'm for it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, number one, what have we got to lose? They've already confirmed that Dak is going to IR. You know what I'm saying? The 3-5. You know what I mean? You pretty much in evaluation mode with somebody. We're not active at trade deadline. We're not, quote unquote, selling any players or anything like that. So, Trey had running in preseason, but with the practice squad guys. So why not? McCarthy was kind of harping that in the beginning of the season, right? That Trey Lance need game reps. He needs time. Actual reps to be able to get the speed of the game, things like that. Blah blah. And we know preseason is nowhere near the actual NFL season. So, I mean, why not? You know what I'm saying? It don't have to be full-fledged, but, like Jerry said, maybe just incorporate, and like a lot of content creators like Botch have been saying, like Skywalker Steel, like Angry Cowboys fans have been saying as well. Law Nation, has been saying, Boss Cowboy has been saying it as well. Even if just some goal line packages, you know what I'm saying? Even especially, at least for me, especially with us getting ready to face a division rival, especially a team like Philly, why not? Like, why not look for any kind of reason to trip them up, right? Why not looking for any kind of reason to kind of spoil what they got going on, right? I mean, it may not be about the Cowboys this year, but other teams look to spoil us, like, right? I mean, we played, like in previous years when we did, play, because this year, of course, our schedule was a little bit tougher, but when we did go play teams like Carolina in previous years, or when we did play, Washington or the Giants, if they were on the down year, that's one thing they would look for us. When they played the Cowboys, if we were on the high run, they would look to spoil things for us. When we played the Titans, a couple of years back, they just looking to spoil the Cowboys day. And I'm saying a lot of these teams, look at us as a lot of people say they look at us as like their Super Bowl thing like that. The Saints, they haven't won a game pretty much since, since they lost us, or since they beat us, what I mean? So it's just like, other teams look to kind of spoil the Cowboys day. They look to kind of spoil the Cowboys record. Why not try to spoil what they got going on for once? Why not? I'm saying, no one has anything on Trey Lance as far as regular season play. So, if you have things worked out in practice, goal line packages, even just every now and then, on the third down, third and short, see if he can scramble to get it, or see what he can distribute. Maybe he might have a better, what's the word? Maybe a better chemistry with the Jalen Brooks, or a better chemistry possibly with a Turpin. I don't know about more than Dak, but I mean, you never know. But as far as guys like Flournoy and Jalen Brooks, they're the second and third guys that will be practicing with Trey Lance right in practice. So maybe they could have a better rapport with Trey Lance. Then maybe you could probably get something going with them. You know what I'm saying? That's just because I know Jonathan Mingo probably is going to come in right away. I mean, he might, he just came from Carolina. He might already be, getting ready to get, good to go. But, you just might be able to get something, a little bit more, a better chemistry going with Trey Lance and maybe a Flournoy and the Brooks. Vice maybe what you got going on with it. Because I'm sure in practice, Dak is honing in on CD, honing in on a Kamante Turpin, or working with Rico, Jake Ferguson, saying so with all these guys, I'm saying it was one thing when CD wasn't there, right? Dak had no one else to throw to, I'm saying, but now that CD is back, those guys don't necessarily have those chances. Brandon Cooks is still out, but Brooke Cooks is coming back slowly. So Dak is working with those guys. So, with Trey Lance coming in, you might have a better chance of getting something going with, like I mentioned, so even someone like a Tober, what I'm saying, he may have a better, because, Tober was working with both Dak and Trey Lance. Lee Harrison, what's up, fam? How you doing? Appreciate you joining in. Yeah, like I said, so hopefully, I think that, and I'm not saying I'm 100% for, putting Trey too much in, but I'm just, if Dak at least is going to be out for 4 weeks, I'm saying at least until December, they're saying, you know, I don't think you really have really much to lose. I'm saying, plus you get to see what you really have in them. I'm saying, and this is looking like an evaluation type thing for the rest of the team going forward. Trey Lance has to be involved in that, right? I mean, you paid him, but you gave it before for him. Now you gave it before for Mingo. You know what I'm saying? You have some comp picks coming up for next year, and some guys who are hitting the free agency, after this year. So it's just like the Cowboys do have a lot to look at, going forward. Not just a Trey Lance, but I'm not sure if this year with Ferguson. I think Ferguson is either this year or next year. His contract is coming up. Deron Bland, Tyler Smith, also Digazua. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of young guys coming up, but also a lot of contracts. A lot of guys who are supposed to supposedly hitting free agency if you don't resign some of these guys. So yeah, I think that might have been. Let me see if there was any other. The Trey Lance. Yeah, the other news and notes. I'm sure you guys have seen Jordan Phillips and Andrew Booth, excuse me, have both been released from the team. I'm not well, no surprise as far as the players that were let go, Andrew Booth and Phillips. But at the same time, I'm also surprised because I thought maybe Jordan Phillips, possibly could have came back, for some run stopping help. I mean, I know he isn't the greatest piece to add, but he's still he's still a big body that could be there in the middle to kind of help shore out even as far as rotation, kind of getting some of these guys. But I understand. I mean, you got to make room for Mingo. I'm saying, you kind of had the thing of having to elevate Dalvin Cook again, whether you decide to bring him up or not. Along with Zeke, being available again for the team, coming up this week. So it's a lot of things they have to work out. So not surprised like I said, as far as the players that they let go, but like I said, I thought Phillips maybe the one that they retained. Like I said, just solely because of the run stopping help. But we do have Parsons coming back, D-Law coming back, soon. Not exactly sure how soon, but at least Parsons as far as this week. And yeah, Todd Archer does say here, because Phillips was on the roster for 2 games, the Giants will receive the Cowboys' 6th-round pick in 2026. And Dallas also picked up the Giants' 7th-rounder that year. So Lee Harrison says, will all of your players be back? If you talk about the injured players, yeah, players like Bland, I think they said that he's going to be in practice as well. Michael Parsons is coming back to practice. I think D-Law is still out for a little bit. I think Brandon Cooks comes back, I think it's the start of November. I think they say he comes back week 11 or something like that. So possibly for the Commanders game, or maybe that could be when they open this 21-day window. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, so that's at least 3 players we're getting back, and I think in Marshawn Kneeling as well. I forgot about him for a second. I think they said his was about 6 to 8 weeks, and that he should be coming back before D-Law. So and after, I'm saying, after Micah. So he'll probably come back maybe around the same time as Cooks, just depending on the timeline. And I mean, not having to rush him. I mean, KJ Henry is still on the team, although he wasn't active this past week. They still have a KJ Henry that they can call up, or, yeah, having the rotation. So that way they don't have to rush back, a Marshawn Kneeling, because he's still very young. He's our draft pick just from this year. So I'm sure they don't want to really, rush him back. And I think outside that, let me check quickly. And that was actually as of 45 minutes ago, actually an hour ago. I think that actually maybe they Cowboys didn't make any more trades or anything like that. But one thing, and like y'all, and I'm sure y'all heard about this, throughout, all the trades or anything going on. If you guys heard about any trades about today that you maybe want to talk about, put them in the chat or anything like that. But this is actually going to be one of the last things I talk about before I actually head out of here. Oh, hey, yo. But before I talk about anything, hold up now. Hold up. Now, I don't know how to recognize this, but this how I'm going to do it. I'm going to stop the music. shout out to Bach Lombardi for for sending to my Cash App, for sending 50 to my Cash App. Bach Lombardi, for real, like I really appreciate everything you do, man. Like you ain't had to do that. Like I know I'm up and coming. For real, shout out to you, fam. Like I really appreciate that. Like for real, I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate the support. Like I said, I watch guys like you all the time, but then you're one of the like you Law, you know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, Skywalker still I watch them in the mornings. You know what I'm saying, while I'm at work casing, casing my mail, things like that. So it's just like, man, like I really appreciate that. Like I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Watch. I really appreciate you. Nixie says, has the GM evaluated all these Target toys he got in free agent? How are they working out? Right? I mean, we just talked about Jordan Phillips, right? We just talked about Andrew Booth, two guys that we got this past offseason, trade acquisitions in this past offseason, who we just let go. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like Jerry can say he's all in. You know what I'm saying? You can say, yeah, I did this, I did that, I did that, da, 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 da. But like a lot of these players, even some of our vet players who we like go walk to other teams, it's like at the end of the day, at the end of the season, what do you have to show for it? Yeah, you traded for Jordan Phillips to help out Zim. Yeah, you traded for Andrew Booth. When you traded Nashawn Wright, but what do you have to show for it now? It's just like you claim you're all in for your team, but at the end of the day, you don't have anything to show for it. You know what I'm saying? So now here we are, still struggling because we have Trayvon Diggs still coming back from his injury. AO, Amani Oruwariye, who just went to IR. You know what I'm saying? Kalen Carson coming back from his shoulder. He, played full time this past game. But it's like, you have these issues at these certain positions. DT, you know what I'm saying? We still have Mozzie coming along. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Limbaugh Joseph still, still putting his all out there, still being the body out there, still making plays, here and there, still being, short up at that position. But it's like, it just sucks, man. Sometimes it's just like, you let these guys go, and it's like now at the end of the day, what we have to show for it. Now we still need DT help. We still need DB help. Now granted, the season, may be over for some folks, and I don't know. Me, it's still mid-season. I'm not gonna say it's over for me, but I'm still gonna be, watching the game, still seeing what strengths, what witnesses we have, what strengths and weaknesses that this team has, and how we can continue, to build forward, and week to week, seeing how we can face these teams. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, man, it's like, man, it just sucks seeing these other organizations, really go all in, really make these big time, acquisitions. Like that's what I'm going to bring up before I get out of here. Let me see, because this move right here, y'all. Because like I said, speaking of the darn Washington game, let me bring this up because I ain't gonna show it or I ain't gonna say it until Yep, here it is. Let me share this with y'all. I know y'all saw this. I know for sure y'all saw this today. The Commanders trading, and I don't even like talking about other teams' news and nothing like that, but it's only because we face them in a couple weeks. But the Commanders done got Marshawn Lattimore. You know what I'm saying? And there was talk about that, about the Saints not the Saints, about the Chiefs looking at him. But like I mentioned earlier, the Chiefs missed out on them, and now they're going to have to look elsewhere for cornerback help. But it's like the Commanders, this is what all in is like. They went all in, quote unquote, in the offseason, got players, got players from the Cowboys, and they're turning up over there. You know what I'm saying? They're saying things like Fowler could have have an all-pro season and things like that. He had a pick six, this season. So it's just like, bruh. And not saying he had that before, but it's like, bro, this is what all in looks like. And now, like, I've never been, a Dan Quinn, supporter or nothing like that. I'm not really an antagonist either, but, I do kind of look at him sideways for what happened with the playoff game. But it's just kind of, at the same time, it's kind of just like, was it like that? Was it because, Jerry and them wasn't trying to give him what he wanted? Was he trying to make serious moves? He did, end up going to get his linebacker over there. I forget his, Bobby Wagner. He did end up bringing him over there. So it's just like, he's, it's just like, so just like Jerry has, kind of hand in the cookie jar with, having to incorporate Zeke, making Mike incorporate Zeke in the offense. He could have been stopping Dan Quinn from getting what he wanted on the defensive side when he was here. Or maybe it was just too much for Jerry to, I don't know, handle, trying to supply things for Mike and try to supply things for Quinn. Maybe he just, He said, "No, that's it. Mike McCarthy is the newer acquisition as far as the head coach. Had to get rid of Kellen Moore. Now he's calling plays. I gotta maybe do things that maybe help out Mike McCarthy a little bit more. But I don't know. It's just something to be said about. Now granted the Commanders have money, they have the means, the ownership to go out here and a newer mindset to go out here and get players and things like that. But it's like, bruh, it's just like, man, like this is what all in looks like, Jerry. In case maybe need a mirror, what I'm saying, maybe need to look in the mirror a little bit before sit here and lie to your fans who just want a little bit of effort in off-season acquisition. Like you do all this talk, but you really don't do anything. What I'm saying, you just kind of sit back and quote unquote, let the leaves fall and things like that. And at the end, not even at the end of the season, in mid-season, you're sitting here looking like, oh, I didn't know, I didn't think we look like that. I didn't think this would happen. And it's just like, bro, you had to know. All these other teams are being busy in free agency, and you're sitting on your hands and wondering why things aren't happening. You know what I mean? So it's just like, bro, like that sucks. Yeah, and there goes my light, y'all. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. But just by a little bit of light, a little bit of light I got on my balcony before it does go out. I really appreciate everybody coming through. Like I said, all the content creators coming through, Botch, Angry Cowboys fan, Sports Junkie, and like I said, thank you so much again, Botch, for your support. I really appreciate that. That was huge. Really appreciate that, fam. And of course, like I said, Lee Harrison, Nisi coming through, Brian Smith at the beginning, first guy in the building. Really appreciate that. Everybody just showing support on this Tuesday. Tomorrow is my day off, so I'm gonna have some much needed rest. But make sure you guys, come back tomorrow because me and Star should still be on schedule for our show tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Yeah, for Star Chasers Girls Talk Ball, but to show you guys can still kind of see me. That camera actually pretty good out here in the dark, y'all. But yeah, we gonna so before I get out of here, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Just really trying to make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat before I hop out of here. Yeah, you too, Angry Cowboys fan. Have a great night. Let me see. Yeah, I think yeah. All right, but yeah, and the last one, Nisi said Jerry is not a GM, that's why he couldn't make any moves. Yeah, it's sad, Nisi. Like, hopefully, like I said before I get out of here, hopefully, I mean, I know this season, is looking kind of bleak right now, but I mean, I don't know. I've never been, not saying I never, but as far as long as I've been watching football, seeing my team kind of just down and out a little bit, I haven't necessarily been here full on, full force, being just fully entrenched in the team and knowing how it feels to, kind of be in this spot right now. So it's just like, damn, like it's just like the team kind of sucks right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of tough, but it's still my team, still gonna represent. I still wear my Cowboys colors every Saturday. You know what I'm saying? The day before the game at work. Still gonna continue to do that. Still gonna support my guys. Still gonna go to the game. Still gonna tailgate. Still gonna cheer at the game. Like like we five, or whatever record we have, by the time we see them, I'm saying I'm still gonna cheer like we have a winning record, I'm saying, when we see them, because that's my team, and why not? I'm saying, I don't know, this whole mentality about moving on to next season, and it's not saying it's bad, I'm saying, everyone fans different. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but me, I like to be in the moment, like Dak says, I'm gonna be where my feet are, and football season is not all year, and when football season is not here, it sucks. It's slow. It's boring. So if I gotta watch other teams play, and watch teams like, and that's one thing I'll say. Like, that's one thing I admire about teams like the Bucks. How they played yesterday. I'll say the Panthers. I didn't watch them play, so I ain't gonna say them. But I'll say teams like I'll just say the Bucks. I've seen several other games where they're close with their opponents, and they fight tough. I'm saying, that's just one thing. Or amongst other things, I just love to see from this Cowboys team is that it's one thing to have L's on your record, but when you actually see how these teams play and they put that fight in the game, and what I'm saying, you just see when you see Bucks going toe to toe with the Super Bowl champions, I'm saying, and giving them a pretty damn good run for their money. That's all I want to see from my team. I just want to see the guts. I'm saying, I want to see the grit. I'm saying, the effort, and just the talent that I know this team has. We don't have to have all the big names in the league, but it's just when everything is not on the same page, it's a huge mess. I'm saying, and I think just over these past few years, we've gotten away with things. We've gotten away with putting the band-aid on the defense, putting the band-aid over the wide receiver room. Now we putting the band-aid over the running back room, trying to, I'm saying, putting the band-aid over coaching. What I'm saying? So now it's just all these things are just kind of falling apart. You know what I mean? And I mean, hell, we had 3 seasons. We had 3 seasons of being 12-5, going to playoffs back to back to back. But after so many chances, you can only get. Not saying those were lucky, and that's not saying that was luck, but you're only going to be successful so many times before you are knocked down, right? You're not going to be successful 100% of the times in life, just in general. So yeah, you may have those ups, but you can't be discouraged when you have those downs. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's the message I have for not just Cowboys fans, but my guys, my Dallas Cowboys. I'll say that you've had those great seasons, but let's see what you can do. Let's see what you're going to do with the rest of these 9 games. You know what I'm saying? You're halfway through the season. It's looking bleak. You just lost your leader. For at least 4 weeks. You know what I'm saying? The defense hasn't been playing great, but this past week, you held Atlanta to 100. I think 100 rushing yards. I say that's a good. I mean, that's not great. You know what I'm saying? I know they still ran up and down the field. I know they still scored touchdowns. I don't think they had any field goals. I think they scored all touchdowns. But you know what I'm saying? You held them to 100 yards. I think held them just over 300 yards total for the game. You know what I'm saying? And that's not great, of course. I know that's not great. You know what I'm saying? But when you come off games from the Ravens and the Lions allowing 400 plus yards, 420 plus yards, I think it's a step in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you may have miscues here and there. We saw the misplay from Diggs. We still saw missed tackles. I think Zimmer spoke on it in his press conference saying that, they had about 15 plus missed tackles, and the penalties on the offensive side. And you could kind of hear it in McCarthy and Dak when they kind of spoke, in their pressers about the details, just some of these young guys, I know they're young, but how far into the season where you're still making these same mistakes, still committing these same penalties, So it's just like, there's got to be a point where you get past the elementary stuff and really start. That's one thing me and Star talked about before, even last season. When you get to the playoffs, you're facing these teams that are on another tier. Well, we had, that was last year, and that was where their previous years. Well, now we have these same playoff teams in the season. So it's kind of like you don't have that kind of luxury, I guess, to kind of build up in the season. You're kind of being put into the fire, right away. You know what I'm saying? So it's just. Like I said, my message to my Dallas Cowboys is, what are you going to take from this moment right here, what you've been through so far in the season, and how are you going to put it, towards the rest of the season? What are you going to, not just personal success, but what kind of success and what goals do you have for the team? You know what I mean? I mean, the season may not look the greatest, but you still got to have a goal. You know what I'm saying? You still got to have things that you want to accomplish, not just personally, and don't turn it into a personal journey now just because the season may look like it's out, but turn it into something that you can have success with yourself, but also, have success within your team as well. I think if they come and kind of have that mindset of, still that team mindset, I think they still can kind of build, not towards playoffs or anything like that, but kind of maybe build towards next season, because a lot of these guys are going to be here next year. You do have free agents leaving, you do have guys who are 1-year deals who are leaving, but some of these, overshown, the offensive line, the rookies on the offensive line, I think still see it for another season. I think Zach Martin will be gone, but with at least 44 out of your 5 offensive line, saying your wide receiver room outside of Cooks, maybe. I think they'll re-sign Turpin. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking they will re-sign Turpin. I'm saying a lot of those guys are going to be here next year. The linebacker room is young. Like I mentioned, Overstone, Maris Leofau, Damone Clark. A lot of those core guys are going to be here. So, I want these guys to kind of take it as what kind of whole result, what kind of whole success as a whole, what are you looking for from this team? At the end of the season, what do you want it to look like? Because this is going to be what's going into next season. So it was kind of like I don't want to say lame duck, but kind of like a broken season. But what can they take from this season to kind of build upon into next season? You know what I mean? If that makes sense, But I kind of went on. I think an extra 10 minutes. I thought I was about to get out of here. So we really about to get out of here, y'all. like I said, appreciate everybody tuning in, showing love this evening, coming through, spending your time, spending your extra 10 minutes, for my extra spiel at the end. But yeah, I love you guys for spending your time. I'll catch you guys next time. Like I said, spin the block tomorrow evening for me and Star show tomorrow for Star Chasers. And I will catch you guys in. Love you guys. Peace and good night.